Planes, Trains, and Canes presents Back to You with Dr. Mona Minkar.
This is Back to You Now, where we talk to our fans and people who have interviewed me and love Planes, Trains, and Canes. Let's see who we have here today. And now we're here with Back to You with Welby Broaddus. Welby, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. So I met Welby because he is writing an awesome book called Leading Blind Without Vision. And he called me out. He sent me an email and he was like, Mona, can I interview you? And I was like, sure. And so Welby had also come across my Planes, Trains, and Canes project. So Welby, can you tell me a little bit more about how you found out about it and if you feel connected to it?
So I found out about it. I was doing research for my book, and I was actually on San Francisco Lighthouse for the Blind's website, and I was going on to see how I can set up an interview with them. So they had a media page you go through, and if you wanted to, you're part of the media, want to do interviews, things like that. So I went on the page, and there was this podcast, and I said, "Oh, they got a podcast." So I clicked on to listen to it, and it was you on there talking, and being the lively person that you are, you was talking about the incident you had on the Louvre in London with the guys. They wouldn't allow you to walk through the station by yourself because you were blind, and you were saying, "Hey, I got rights. I'm an individual. I can handle this." And you basically telling that story. And I said, "Well, who is this person?" I said, "Oh my God, I want to interview her." So I jumped off their website, started Google searching you, and I came up with your personal website, the university website. Then I saw this show, Planes, Trains, and Canes. I said, "What is this?" And I started watching. I said, "Oh my God, I love it." So I was hooked. I think the first episode I watched was Johannesburg Part 2, when you was over to Johannesburg, and I was hooked. So I started watching all of that. I subscribed to the page, and then I emailed you, and you got your assistant the set up interview that we had for my book.
That's awesome. And so, Welby, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
So I'm visually impaired. I was born with optic atrophy. I can never get it right, with a nystagmus. And so what that is my vision is low, considered to be legally blind, and I can't control the left muscle of my left eye, and I don't have the peripheral vision. And what causes this, when I was born, my lungs weren't fully developed, so I was in like an incubator for a week, and I found all this out actually doing research on myself for the book. Yeah. My mom wasn't even sure, so I was in a hospital for 5 days after I was born to get my lungs fully developed, and they think that what happened was, well, my research said that I was exposed to too much oxygen, and that affected my vision. And so I was born this way. So I was never raised to think I was visually impaired. And actually, all this came to light when I write my book up. But I didn't identify as being a visually impaired or blind person until I went to school. Just like you, Dr. Mona. I went to public school just like you did. So yeah, we already talked about the experience we had going to public school.
Yeah, that was an experience.
Yeah. So when I got to school is when I recognized that I was different from people, because at that point I would have black books close to my eyes so I can read and things like that. So people would start talking about me as we call cracking. They was cracking on me, making jokes and things like that. Yeah. And then I realized like I'm different. And I would come home and I'd be like, well, what's going on? You know, and I didn't recognize that all through my childhood. I was going to an ophthalmologist, but he was actually a specialist. That's the only person I could go see that really could deal with my condition. I thought I was going to a regular eye doctor. Here I'm going to a specialist. Then I finally recognized that, look, this is who I am. I'm accepted. My mom and my grandmother, they wouldn't allow me to think as a vision impaired person. They want me to think as a regular person. That doesn't define me. That's just a part of me. And that's how I always took it in life. So there's things that I could do that I'm not supposed to do. Like, for example, I can read out a phone book without my glasses on. And I'm not supposed to be able to do it with my vision. And my eye doctor I would go see him. He always had like medical students come in, they observe me, and now watch what he does. This is not normal activity for a person with his vision that he's doing. And so when I got to high school, so I decided I'm going to college. And and this really inspired me to put me where I'm at today is, so you know, you meet with your guidance counselor and you go through and you talk about what's your plans. So I told her I'm going to college. She tells me, you're not college material. You need to just go find you a job. And at that point, I said to myself, I'm going to college. I'm going to do what I want to do, no matter what the obstacles I face. And that's what I did. And I used her as a something to keep pushing me when I get down and out, because I didn't want her to.
I can relate to this a lot.
Yeah. I didn't want to give her that opportunity to say she was right, even though I'll probably never see this lady again. But how God works, it came about a circle. So when I got done with college, I ended up working for the University of Akron. That's the university I went to. And I worked in this program where they had me work with special ed kids at a local high school that's like right down the street from campus. And so the first day I worked with these kids. So the guy the advisor for the program for the Akron Public School Systems said, hey, I wanted you to meet their counselor. It was my counselor from high school who they had working with special ed kids. And I was like, wow. And I said, wow, this is how guys, where I come back, this is the same person that told me I can't be who the person I am. And now she's working with these special ed kids. So I'm wondering what she's telling them. But,
so, yeah, sorry, finish your thought.
Oh, that's good. I was done. Yeah.
No, so Welby, like, okay, like telling, like you're sharing your backstory, kind of the struggles that you had. How do you feel like with that, do you feel like you connect to Planes, Trains, and Canes? Do you feel like it added, is there anything about it that you feel close to?
I feel close to because the things you go through. So I travel by myself too all the time. And I think what's different between me and you is that you're totally blind. So you have identifier, like you have your cane with you and things like that. My issue I have when I go to the airport is people don't know that I'm blind until I have to identify myself to them. And that's kind of awkward. For example, one time I was traveling to Philadelphia, and this is a whole nother story, but I'm just going to tell you what happened. So when I got off the plane, they didn't tell me my connecting flight. So I was praying that there was a flight attendant at the gate that I could just say, hey, can you tell me what gate I got to go to get to Philadelphia? But there was nobody there. So I went to the board, and of course, it's one of those boards that's high up, so I had to look up, so I couldn't see.
Yeah. And
so the person next to me, I said, well, hey, can you see the Philadelphia gate? They looked at me like I was crazy. I don't know if they thought I was like trying to be funny, try to rob them or illiterate or something like that. So I had to actually disclose that, hey, I'm visually impaired. Can you help me out? And then, so they helped me they told me what my gate number was. And so when I am in the airport, I also have a struggle reading the gate numbers on the signs. So one time I ended up going to the opposite end of where I was supposed to be, was at the total opposite end. I had to run like O.J. Simpson on a Hertz commercial to the other end to get to my gate. So I can relate. And like I pick up on signs too. Like I learned from your video, one part from you I did learn from you is I started smelling for the cologne and the perfume, so I knew that was a gate agent.
That's amazing. So so you felt like Planes, Trains, and Canes kind of related. Do you feel like it showed some experiences that you had, or that it like you learned something new from it, or both?
It's both. It shows some experiences that I go through, and I think it's an education piece for sighted people to see what we go through, and we're not dependent on nobody. And you know, like one of the issues that you have and I have as well, people always want to just come up and help you without asking. And I know where their heart is at, but it's kind of like they feel that we can't do anything by ourselves, and which is not true. You know, and that's one reason I'm writing this book to talk about that story. But I think that people need to recognize when we want help, we're gonna ask. We're not just gonna sit there and like aim is like and go through an airport and be lost and not ask. But if I don't need help, I don't need help. And I think that's what they need to recognize.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Like we are agents of our own destiny. You know, we can ask if we need help, and sometimes we'll take it, sometimes we won't, if it's offered. So Welby, tell me, are there any moments in the series that kind of stuck out to you? Moments that you feel like it connected with you, or moments that you found funny? Like anything that sticks out to you?
I like the part where whoever the narrator is, like it says, I like he always says, Mona gets on train, or Mona just walked past the hotel or something like that. I love the humor you bring to it, because a lot of things we do is funny. Also, what's funny to me is how a sighted person, you ask, how do I get to the Hyatt Hotel? And they start pointing down the street, and you be like, oh, I'm blind. You know, because you have your cane in your hand, and I'd be like, wow, they haven't recognized that, you know, so it's amazing. But
because it's so rare for us, you know, to be out and about, like actually like trying to navigate. So I think that it doesn't register that, you know, this is what the cane means, or they might not even know what the cane means. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm glad you brought up the narrator. So like, for everybody who hasn't seen Planes, Trains, and Canes, every episode is fully audio described and closed captioned for both the blind and deaf, you know, communities or hard of hearing. And basically, the narrator is our audio describer. His name is Ted. He's also the editor, so he's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's the one who's like, Mona gets on the train.
Right, I love that.
That's awesome. And then finally, Welby, if there is a group of people that you feel like should watch Planes, Trains, and Canes, who do you think they should watch it?
I think first person, I think everybody should watch it just for the entertainment purposes. I mean, it's an entertaining show to watch. But anybody who works with this population of visually impaired or blind community, they definitely should watch, because you're going to get the unprofessional out of your agency's activity of what this person is doing without you. What we're capable of doing without you being around. I think anybody that has a company who deals with HR for equity, diversity, and inclusion, with all that's going on right now, is a good platform to say, hey, well, maybe this community can do business travel, because look at this lady here. She goes all over the world from her home using public transportation the entire time. So maybe they can do that. It also educate us in the blind and visual community to let us know that, hey, we are capable of doing things without the assistance of others. We just have to go out there and try it. Because I think a lot of us, we tend to not want to go out of our comfort zones. And our comfort zone is allowing people to help us. And I think that hinders us as well. So I think that you should.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree with that.
You should take those steps on your own and try it. It's okay to get lost. I learned that myself. It's okay to get lost.
It is okay it's actually a little bit more fun, you know, takes the routine out of the day.
Right. Yeah. I was just talking with my girlfriend the other day. And we was talking about, I went with her to Estonia in 2019. Tallinn, Estonia is in Europe, right by Russia. And so we was there for 10 days, and she was in a conference. And so I would walk around this whole town by myself. Cool. I got lost, but hey, it's okay. I said to myself, here, I'm a blind guy from America. It was like 7 hours different time zone. And oh my God, I'm lost. I thought, but it's okay. I'll get right. I'll finally get there. And that's what I did. It was fun, actually. It's adventure to me. Yeah,
it is adventure. And then finally, would you like to see more of Planes, Trains, and Canes? If so, what would you like to see?
I told you before, yeah. I said you should keep this show going. I know you're trying to get somebody to help you fund it. I like to see more episodes like you're doing, and then maybe you could do some episodes where you bring another blind person and y'all can meet at a country and just show.
Oh yeah, no, not just like other blind people. I'm thinking like people in wheelchairs, or, you know, like people from all over the disability community down the line. I think that'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm. And you guys say you pick a city you guys gonna go to, and you have cameras going back and forth how you both got to that point, and you guys meet up and hang out.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I really like that idea.
Myself when you're ready for one.
Okay, but Kanye, we just need the funding. So everybody who's watching right now, if you like what you're hearing and you like Planes, Trains, and Canes, please subscribe, share it. Make sure our views go up so that we can attract the funding, hopefully. So, Welby, any last comments?
I just appreciate you. You're doing a lot for our community, and I'm sure you're doing a lot for science. And I'm your good example of what we're capable of doing in the blind and visually impaired community. I just want you to keep up what you're doing, because you're a great example, you're a great role model for others.
Welby, you're too kind. It's so nice having you today on the show. If you guys want to learn more about Welby and his book, please look down below. We have all of his information. And that was Back to You, where we interview our supporters and fans. So thank you. Have a good day.
Do you want to be on Planes, Trains, and Canes? Send us an email at planestrainsandcanes@gmail.com. Visit planestrainsandcanes.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.